I've been on a personal journey of exploring this and just seeing firsthand. I was in the financial markets, and then I went into fell hard into ag tech. Didn't mean to get into it, and I've just become obsessed with it. But I saw that what was going on was certainly it's been going on right now is farmers are being paid to grow cheaper and cheaper food each year. It's like feed the world, grow cheaper and cheaper food, and that sounded that incentive is now creating is generating some negatives. Well, it has been generating negatives. Like we're trading off killing ecosystem services. What I mean by that, we're killing biodiversity in our soils. We're killing, just to ensure that we get that piece of food off. We're basically borrowing from the future, if you want to kind of look at that. So, what's been going on is that we've been applying these chemical inputs from fertilizers to fungicides and biocides. The word "sides" means kill, right? So we've been working with a natural system and just saying, no, you're not. It doesn't work like that. We're just going to kill this bit off. And the soil is alive. Our soils, which we grow our food, is where all life starts. And we've been applying these things, which is trying to supposedly kill bits around it or kill it. So our soils, as we know, it's quite evident that our soils are one of the greatest carbon captures. It is the basic carbon capture machine that we have, actually, and we've just been working against it. And so, what we've been doing essentially is killing the machine that is holding all our carbon. There's something like 2,500 petrograms of carbon in the soil. That is 3 times as much as what's in the atmosphere, right? We talk about we're worried about what's in the atmosphere now is warming up. The soil holds 3 times as much as that, and so we've been kind of destroying that thing that's kind of holding it. And that's not just, the livestock industry. Yes, it's land change, but it's even just our normal row crops. It's the fruits that we eat, and every single part of the food chain has been slowly, emitting emissions above ground, but then killing and destroying the machine which is holding carbon in as well, which is soil, and that generates lots of benefits. So that was just, for me, it was just so compelling that the one thing that can actually sequester carbon, we're actually working against it and moving out of it. We're moving indoors. We're moving indoors because of climate change, but agriculture is a contributor to climate change.
That's a new thought for me, that the fact that soil is alive, that's only recently that I've kind of discovered that. And I think we tend to behave as though soil is kind of just like sand. It's a substrate to hold plants up, to hold them upright. And if you want to feed plants, you have to pour fertilizer around the base. But the fact that, like Mark Watney in The Martian, that's what, I don't know if you've seen The Martian. I've seen it many times. So he's on Mars, right?
Which one?
Which film? The Martian.
Is there New Martian, the one with
Matt Damon? So Matt Damon is stranded. He's stranded on Mars. He's got to try and grow potatoes. So he's trying to figure out, how do I grow this in the regolith of Mars, which is really like sand, to hold plants upright. So he's got to introduce life into it. And long story short, I don't want to spoil the whole movie for you, but he introduces his own fecal matter in it, and so the microbes that are in his own poop, he feeds those. But it's how did we get to this point where we kind of see the soil as though it's like a dead sand substrate, and we have to pour chemicals into it? How did we move away from this idea that the soil is alive?
Well, I think we short-termism, as usual, human beings taking a short-termist approach. It was like someone said, "Hey, pour this fertilizer, nitrogen, right? So we're covered in nitrogen, right? 78% in the atmosphere is nitrogen. And we turned it to a different form, and we threw it on our crops. And the argument is after the World War II, this is where it all really accelerated. We had a lot of excess supply of nitrogen, which was obviously utilized for bombs, right? Excess supply, and it was repurposed to feed the world. In other words, put it onto food and crops, and look what happens. Of course, it does. Yes, it does. It eats carbon, right? That's what it does. It burns carbon. It accelerates the process and burns carbon, and we just lobby on excessive amounts of it onto the environment, and so you're effectively eating the carbon to create biomass. It does that. We all know that's what it does. So we thought, oh, that worked. We can feed the world. and lob it on, lob it on, lob it on, and we've just been basically slowly making ourselves less and less resilient. In other words, there's less money in the bank. It's like being drained down, and the soils used to have so much carbon in them, and we're just eating it and eating it, and it's become lifeless. And it's like, well, if it's lifeless, what do I need to do? Add more inputs.